Thank you so much, Siddharth. Let's begin straight. I know it's lunchtime. It's a little difficult for all of you to wait. And I don't want to add too much mental stress because of food. So let's keep it light. We'll talk about, this topic is very interesting when we picked up on this topic, digital workplace. And then we are talking about mental health and well-being. A deadly combination of sugar and pepper together, because we are talking about digital workspaces, and then at the same time we are talking about well-being. I'll start with a small little story to keep all of your engagement high, and then obviously go back to this beautiful panelist and forum, and then pick up their brains on it. Modern management is a beautiful culmination of three things, which is people, process, and technology, isn't it? We all know that. And there are two aspects which are very relevant to this topic, which is people and technology. So the journey of people, as we all know, and by the way, I also want to declare something that anyone who asks two best questions, obviously we'll give you some gift at the Advantage Club counter, because I represent Advantage Club, so I just thought I'll tell you that. So going back to the people aspect, it all started way back, as we know, the origin of HR in Industrial Revolution, am I right? It all started with people then putting in their best of effort during industrialization. And then at that emergence, we know that the first personnel manager then became, or earlier welfare officer, time office became, personnel manager, then became HRD, and today, as we all know, we are modern HR. So that's the emergence of people, the way it happened. There's another beautiful thing which followed people, that is technology. Am I right? We all know that somewhere in 1980s to early 1990, the emergence of technology through machines happened. Then somewhere in 1970, we know the first emergence of personal computing happened. 1983, we know computer came. And today, more technology has added to our life. The complexities of life have become far more difficult than earlier. Today, an average person spends 6 to 8 hours on a mobile phone, any given point of time in a day, for whatever purpose that you're using. That's the infusion of technology. Workplaces, let's talk about it. I remember when I started my career somewhere 2 decades back, I actually used to manage HR files. I have not seen file for almost last 15 years. So that's the beauty of technology, and that's how the workplaces have changed. But when technology comes, it also brings a lot of anxiety. It also brings a lot of impact on people. We all know what happened very recently in December 2022. Can anyone tell me what happened in 2022 December, early December? There's an evolution of a beautiful concept called as AI that happened, and ChatGPT came to this world. It became the fastest adopted tool ever in the history of human mankind. Within 2 months, more than 200 million users got addicted to it. And it created another spark. What will be the future of employment? We see so many people quitting or leaving their job in a same year. I had never seen in my life. In a same year, I saw great recession. In a same year, I saw great resignation. Immediately after pandemic, there were people resigning left, right, center because they were joining jobs. Within the same year, we saw so many people losing job. So what happened ultimately? This infusion of technology has actually created more stress in some or other manner. And that brings me to my topic, and also I think I'll pick up Sharmeen's brain for the better sake, because she runs end-to-end technology company. By the way, most of you do. And we have a very diverse panel with all of you. Sharmeen, what are the pillars that you feel of a holistic well-being program that we should keep in mind while keeping technology at the minimalistic level, but at the same time we are talking about digital workplaces, am I right? So how do you achieve that in your organization, InfoEdge, which happens to be one of the largest organization in India when it comes to employment? So please share your thoughts on how do you make it happen?
Thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be in the midst of so many wise minds, and I'm looking forward to this conversation as we go along with this topic, which is also very close to my heart. I think in very plain, simple English terms, and not introducing any HR jargons. Basically, wellness is about integration of the mind, body, and soul, right? And now, if I was to just superimpose the building blocks, right? Well-being on building blocks could be physical well-being, mental and emotional well-being, and relational well-being, right? At workplaces, these are certain things which an employer can, sort of partner with the person concerned to sort of work on these sort of building blocks. When I say physical, as is obvious, it's about fitness, health. A lot of companies work in the area of providing the right food in the canteen, or tying up with various organizations for stepathlon challenges. There are medical checkups that organizations do. So that's the physical aspect. Mental and emotional could be, to provide a safe environment, physically and psychologically safe environment for the employee. Simple stuff on safety, right? Besides that, I mean, there are, with technical advancement, there are these employee assistance programs which are available, which could sort of help employees cope better with the stress, right? So that's on the, mental and emotional side. Relation is, I mean, does the workplace actually encourage, relationship building? Now it has all become very complex again because of, hybrid working or remote working, etc., etc. How do you build relationships with people? So how, how can you sort of enable that? So these are the building blocks, and what I would like to really sort of emphasize upon is, I think all of us HR professionals and business leaders fall in the trap of fixing these superficial things. Let's get an EAP platform. Let's get a stepathlon challenge. Let's ensure that our employees are fitter, etc., etc. But the most important part is, what is the organization culture? If I'm stressed out because of work, will somebody listen to me and support me and care for me? Is my manager going to support me in tough times? If I'm struggling in a job, will I get another chance in the organization? Can I apply for another job inside the organization? What is my movement policy? So, I mean, these are aspects which are actually the building blocks of well-being. So I just want to overemphasize, having the right culture for mental and holistic well-being here. Thanks.
Beautiful. No, I really appreciate the human aspect of it that you've added to it. In fact, as I said, technology has two ways of looking at it. One, it can be a bane and boon at the same time. It reminds me, if I look back at an era, which I was just sharing a minute back, wherein you just have to remember one password in your life. Today, there are so many tools and so many passwords. It's so difficult, at least for a person like me. I find it so difficult to save 20 different passwords because every time they ask you to change every 3 months. So that becomes very, very overwhelming. And in organizations, believe you me, I'll not quote it, but there's an organization that I personally headed HR for, had once upon a time 17 tools in HR, 17. In a helm to create digital workplaces, we end up cluttering so much of technology. And Anaahat, my next question is to you. What kind of tools do you think organizations should pick or use? Particularly, I'm going to focus here, obviously digital workplaces, but for well-being and mental health. Can you share some thoughts on the kind of tools that you can use?
Sure, Raj. Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. Very important question, Raj. I believe technology has undoubtedly, all of us will agree to this, brought in a lot of disruption in the workspaces. Lots in a much more meaningful, way, and improving the way we work, bringing a lot of efficiencies, increasing our productivity, making our lives easy, improving the workflows. At the same time, there are also, certain areas where we should be very, very mindful of on how to use technology, how to implement the best of the solutions to get to leverage the benefits that we want to achieve. And we're discussing today a very important topic like health and wellness of employees, creating a much more happier and engaged workforces. How do we leverage technology to achieve that? Technology, if not implemented very well, it can also have a lot of diverse implications. How do you create that fine balance? Where to place technology and where to continue with manual interventions. Like Sharmeen also very nicely placed that, there's a fine balance that is required and manual interventions can never be done away with. However, at the same time, having said that, technology plays a very important, role, even in the field of creating a much more healthy and engaged workforces, building on the wellness of the employee. And when we talk about wellness, which has become one of the now, one of the most critical pillars for every organization if we are striving towards creating an engaged and a happier workforce. I'd say wellness has to be looked into as a holistic concept. Wellness should not be taken only as a physical or a mental wellness. It has to be a complete holistic picture, because wellness for all of us as humans will include our work experiences. How do we spend those 8 hours, 9 hours at work? How has technology eased our working style? With regard to lifestyle, how can technology help us in terms of improving our physical and mental wellness? At the same time, there is a very important third pillar also, which I consider as a part of our overall wellness program. And that pillar is, how do you build a financial understanding or a financial wellness for an employee? Because this is a subject which is, I think, not really everyone would be understanding, and there is always a need of improving the financial literacy. Now, considering these three important pillars under wellness, which is our workspaces, financial and mental wellness, and financial literacy, there are a lot of technological advancements and tools or solutions that we can adopt in terms of strengthening on these pillars. Starting with workspaces, I think technology can help a lot in terms of improving the work experiences. There are a lot of solutions to improve our workspaces, workflows, reducing our TATs, helping us eliminate a lot of mundane, manual, or repetitive tasks. And organizations must look at adapting, the best of the solutions which are helping the employee in improving their work outcomes, which are coming as enablers, not just for the sake of implementation or showing that we are digitizing, but it should be a tool which gets well implemented and gives the desired outcomes to the employees. Second, I feel in terms of workspaces, it's very important because everybody builds a career, and there should be a very clear, tool for performance management. We talk a lot about it, but how well are we able to execute in the organization? How well are we able to manage? As they say, what gets, measured gets managed. So how well are we able to track our, goals, make them objective, make them transparent, and make them run on an automated platform? HRMS platforms to have a completely automated, like Raj, you just mentioned 17 different platforms, but do you have integrated platforms which are talking to each other? That makes life so much easier for an employee. So as much as, these tools we bring as a solution to enable employees to perform in an easier manner, deliver better results, I think that is always a welcome technology advancement for an employee. In terms of health and wellness, a lot of points Sharmeen already covered. There are so many tools. All of us today are carrying smartphones. All of us today are wearing smartwatches. How do we leverage that? A lot of platforms are there, a lot of solutions are there, wherein you can reach out to the remotest of geographies where your employees are placed and keep counseling, coaching them through, coaching them towards maintaining the best of the health, your benchmarks. So there are a lot of, employee related, coming from a life insurance sector, we focus a lot on employee as well as customer well-being. So there are free, medical health checkups. There are platforms where we, have employee assistance programs. A lot of people need one-on-one counselings, confidential discussions. So these, then we also create employee support groups where like-minded people can come together and discuss. We are all social animals. We need that social presence around it. And coming on the financial wellness part, there has to be we organize a lot of financial literacy programs. we coach people towards investing at the right stage and how to manage the money, how to manage their child's education, secure the child's future, secure your money on a long-term
Yeah.
basis. So
True.
these are the areas where we find maximum gaps coming. So
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of areas where you can adapt the best of the technology solutions to get the right kind of overall holistic wellness for the employees. The only hindsight is, I feel if not implemented very well, it can create a lot of disruption in the engagement. So you receive
That's true.
adverse
Yeah.
results. The only key factors I'd say for an organization before we implement any solution is one should always focus on a need-based solution and a solution which the users really require. It's not just
Yeah.
that we implement for the organization. In the end of the day, whatever solution we implement is for the employee.
True.
So that has to be
So-
very, very consciously driven. And last but not the least, communication around it. Very important. If we've implemented something but employees are not aware, we may not get the desired outcome, and in fact it can just lead to a lot of chaos and people not understanding and using it very well. So I think
Yeah.
communication is the key, and only automate the areas which are required to be automated, because nothing can beat a human touch in the end of the day.
Sure.
So I
And-
think balance will always be helpful.
Yeah, and I completely agree. While we're deciding tools, you need to keep a difference in your mind. There's a difference in between a tool and a platform. You can have 17 tools, but if you do not have a good platform, it's difficult to integrate. I'll share a very small little well-being example. When you get up early in the morning and you want to go and hit the gym, that's well-being for somebody. You come back, the kind of breakfast you want to eat, nutrition, that's well-being for you. You go to office and then you want to learn something, that's well-being. So well-being has a very wide definition, and it's important for us to keep that in mind. In fact, one of our clients saw a huge surge in wellness program adoption the moment it got personalized. And my next question is to you, Shashwat, which comes from the fact that stress nowadays is building a lot. What are some of the strategies that you would like to share which can be adopted by organization to reduce stress and identify it at an early stage and help people better with or without technology?
Sure, fantastic. Good afternoon, everyone. A difficult one to be between the lunch and here in the session. I see all of you curiously waiting for it to not get over. All right. So, okay, so we have the audience here. I want to start with an example first. Have you ever been to a restaurant where they take time to serve your food, but the food is very good? And you're hungry. You've ordered for the food, and you're waiting for your main course to get served, but you're so hungry still that you ask for something, get something to eat, something to munch. But when your expectation is set that this restaurant serves A, B, and C, and it takes time, you're okay to wait for that long. Vis-a-vis, you go to a fast food joint, and there, if the delay is by a minute or so, you get restless. This is an exact example of well-being to me. It's a reality versus a perception. We as an organization many a times have put across a perception that things should happen at a pace. And when there is any deviation to that, a deviation could be a promotion getting delayed, a project timeline getting crunched, time getting extended, a meeting getting longer, more meetings getting added. I think the whole idea of perception versus the reality, I think the shorter the distance we have between these two things, it is going to add to the well-being part of it. I think a lot has been spoken across already, so I'm just keeping up to the crux. The second and the last point from myself is, in terms of strategy, we have all heard about and spoken and practiced it ourselves, hire for culture. Why don't we talk about hire for purpose? Has anyone in the Indian military complained about a work-life balance? Because they are hired for a purpose. When you find someone in the senior leadership and they are putting in like a 16-hour day, sometimes they complain, sometimes they may not, but they have a purpose what they're looking out for. So while we have a hire for culture, you need to also look out for a hire for a purpose, because once you're purposefully driven, then the wellness definition gets drastically changed. You aren't driven by this is all my job versus that's the aim, that's a goal which I want to reach out to. And these are the two simple strategies I want to keep and pass it back.
Just 30 seconds more. I want to add another angle to it, Shashwat, and I want to know from you. When you decide about a digital workplace and well-being solution, does productivity come in mind ever?
I think productivity does not come to mind. That's a cornerstone of what organizations kind of operate across. Let's all talk about. We have a timer running up here. That's a productivity we need to all meet up to. Now, as an organization with all the digital tools we have, the ecosystem which has been developed across, most of the times the challenge comes in terms of anxiety, well-being, is the disjointedness between the two things, or the predictability into how your day may look like. So if I exactly know that I can end my day at 10 p.m., just to give you an example, but it ends at 10 p.m., it's a more satisfying day. Vis-a-vis, I know that my day would end at 4 p.m., but it gets extended by 1 more hour to 5 p.m., I'll be more dissatisfied. So the digital connectedness has to offer predictability into the way we operate across. That's my take.
Sure. And I think that's very, very important too. Dipankar, my next question is to you. There's so much happening in this world, am I right? AI, VR, ML, and the world is just not ending when it comes to technology. When in your organization, when you decide that, okay, today I'm going to embark on a new employee welfare program, well-being comes immediately as the first priority, or after pandemic it's become a priority? Share some insights on how it is evolving in your sphere and your space.
Yeah, just to assure everybody, as per the timer, we are 5 minutes away from lunch. So, yeah, the timer builds. Yeah. But coming back, yeah, so I think there had been an evolution. I think from a preventive maintenance, from a physical healthcare, which has been prevalent before pandemic, we have come a long way in last 4-5 years, where we are getting into probably predictive healthcare, including comprehensive healthcare that my co-panelist was talking about. I think that's a big thing. You would have been happy as an employee if you are provided health insurance, life cover, and accident cover. That would be the vanilla cover even a few years back. Where today people would talk about comprehensive wellness beyond insurance covers, because today mostly some of them they have them on their own. So what's something that you do beyond that? And also mental health is so much connected with your workplace, where you spend 12 hours a day, and that becomes a huge productivity and an engagement factor for the employer as well. And that's where that evolution is happening, moving from an hygiene, which is preventive healthcare, to moving from something which is at the next level, which is can we do predictive healthcare? And I think that's where AI, ML, VR, everything would sit. What do AI do fundamentally? By the way, some of these technologies would cross several $1 billion in terms of business in the coming few years. AI would help you predict and give you a report on what you do. That's essentially what AI is. What is VR? It can give you an immersive experience, a real life simulation of what you cannot bring always to the learner. And ML would help you in ensuring automation at a different level. Now, if I look at all of this into mental health care, I think they have huge application, and some of them I would say nascent work has already started. I just want to quickly touch upon, looking at the time, is yeah, we are still at a nascent state on AI, VR, and ML, and it would give lot of assistance in providing comprehensive, targeted, sharpshooting, comprehensive healthcare for people. But we are already seeing the ill effects of AI. And when you are talking about personal health, personal data, and sensitivity around it, we as HR leaders, we as business leaders also have to ensure how do we make sure that we are not intruding into, because technology has this habit, how we are not intruding into that, and that's a fine line. And I think that also has to be discussed as much as we speak about AI. So that's one. And just quickly, another 30 minutes, is the problem in workplace and technology is, do you have a better technology than Facebook? Do you have a better technology than Amazon? And do you have a better technology than Microsoft? Now, you use LinkedIn, Facebook, and Amazon daily, who are the pinnacle of technology. And the problem with workplaces, we are using substandard technology of AI, VR, and ML, and we see a much superior use of that when I'm using my Facebook to connect with my friend. And that's a human gap, very different from the way it happened 2 decades back when we first seeing computers. So I think that's where employee experience, which we talk about, is always less than the experience that I get from this technology when I'm using it outside the home. I see a lot of vendors here. That's something for them to ponder. How do I do less but do the best? Because you are competing with the best.
True. Since we are almost up time, just one technology or one takeaway in just 10 seconds, if you can all give. I'll start with you, Sharmeen. What is that one disruption that you feel is coming ahead in this space, whether it's digital workspaces or well-being? Just one quick.
Yeah, see, it's very encouraging to attend a sort of conference like this and see all these stalls which are in the area of HR tech enablement. I would like to personally see more in the space of mental health. I saw so many stalls, not just one, not a single stall in mental health. And the topic today is of that, well-being in mental health. So I'm expecting a lot more disruption and a lot more opportunity area in mental health per se.
Appreciate that. Yes, Anant, about you? Just one trend that you feel is a disruption.
Um, I think there's lots happening on this side, but I personally feel what eventually will give us the right results is that we drive this also in a very focused and outcome-based manner. So one thing that worked very well is that, sometimes you have to push mental health and wellness till today is not a focus area for an individual sometimes, sadly you feel. So sometimes we push them towards, good quality health, and we have excellent tools around it. So I think one of the things that we implemented was we gave targets and, there are goals for people to
Goals are important.
achieve. So once, that becomes a target for them for the year or a quarter, and when they come back with the achievements, that I think worked very well.
How about you, Shashwat?
Fantastic. So I would recommend there is enough technology around us. One disruption, if I could say, and not let the power go out of me to in the hands of any technology, I would say the power of your choice. What is that you want to do with all the available technology now?
Beautiful.
So right now in the room, how many of you are on Instagram or LinkedIn or on Amazon or on Big Basket and managing your grocery, sending across an email? I think if it's helping on a productivity, it's helping you rejuvenate, good for it. But if you're wasting your time across on that, wasting is a comparative word. The choice is on your hands. So make the right decision. That's all.
Choice, very important. Yes, Dipankar, the last one.
Yeah, and also the ability to actually have which is more customized. I think today we are mostly having something which is a parachute bomber. I think how can I customize that?
Wonderful. So hyper-personalization, customization is important. I started this session by talking about people and technology. So when technology came in Industrial Revolution, it made life a little miserable for human beings, and then came law, trade unions and everything. Today, if we talk about when technology is again at its cusp and changing again, we are talking about well-being. You see the beauty of it. More than 200 years have passed by. Mental well-being at that point of time and well-being was still an issue, and it will still be an issue because we are human beings. And we have to deal with humans as humans. On this particular aspect, I'd like to thank all the panelists and audience for listening to us. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the session.